Bonsoir fellow mini enthusiasts! We get new baddies for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. The Blood Hags are the elite of the Daughters of Khaine. When they are not busy slicing and dicing in close combat, with their two-pronged Valtre polearm, they can apparently throw their Kirake blade, or however you pronounce that, so hard that they wipe out entire front ranks before it even gets to them. Because arrows are overrated, I guess. But mincing meat is not their only duty, no. Their main job is guarding mobile shrines and sacrificial altars, plus keeping them full of Khaine's favorite red energy drink. Or, as they say here, claret. Ooh, fancy word. Morat sipping gore with the pinky up like it's fine Bordeaux. Meaning we also have to talk about the Shrines of Dark Tribute, right? Because that is what our murderous babes are supposed to protect. This extravagant altar is a defiant symbol of Khainite superiority and can whip nearby allies into a blood-fueled frenzy, or empower wizards and priests who beseech their goddess for magical might. Alright, so, do the minis tell that story? Well, at first glance, yeah, kind of. If you just see them as an elite infantry unit serving a murder god, they look okay-ish. It's an adequate but very generic execution of angry babes. The silhouettes are fit for classical warriors, the armor follows the classical three-part layering on the torso, sometimes repeated on the legs. There is a bit of asymmetry in some shoulder pieces and greaves, the headpieces are nice and the hair has some movement. The forked weapon is really the strongest visual idea here. That unique double-pronged silhouette helps them stand out a little more. And to be fair, they are not ugly miniature, the sculpt quality is solid, clean surface, readable details, strong production quality. So at first, I was almost ready to conclude they were simply a little boring, which is a cardinal sin for me. But then I remembered something important. These are Daughters of Khaine, and suddenly boring become even much harder to forgive. Because the Daughters of Khaine faction has always leaned into performance, theatrical levels of cruelty and seduction, combined with a ridiculous amount of blood. It is one of the only armies where half-naked angry women kicking impossible amount of butts is not just fantasy nonsense, it is canonically part of the aesthetic language. So yes, my brain immediately went to the universal fantasy armor rule for female warriors. The stronger the warrior, the less armor she apparently needs. And honestly, in the case of the Daughters of Khaine, that absurdity kind of works. Because if your entire combat philosophy is built around speed, ritual mastery, and never getting it in the first place, then armor becomes almost optional. Shedding it starts looking less like an impractical design and more like a flex. A way of saying I do not need protection because you are not surviving long enough to even think of landing a hit. Now, to be clear, I do not hate the idea of them moving away from bikini armor. As a 3D artist, especially one who has worked in video games, I can tell you this much. Bikini armor, though very fun, gets repetitive really fast. There is only so much variation you can squeeze out of minimal claws, exposed cleavage, stomach and derrière, plus the occasional decorative flourish, before designs start repeating themselves. And the Daughters of Khaine already have enough of them. So the armor itself is not really the issue here. The problem is that if you want to replace that older, exaggerated identity, the new design has to bring something equally strong in return. And here I do not think it does, because this armor feels extremely safe. Very clean, very standard, barely different from something you could imagine on vampires or even lighter Stormcast if painted gold. The undergarment really throws me off. It is honestly the element that pushed me to make this video. Whatever this black cloth is, it does not look protective enough to justify itself as practical armor, but it also does not feel symbolic. So what happened here? Design restraint, internal caution? I really do not know. Maybe they simply needed a quick visual shortcut to make them read as more elite, so they dressed them up a bit. Maybe there is also a deliberate attempt to make the faction cleaner or more restrained, but that would be just sad. Both lore-wise and artistically speaking, honestly I do not even think that is fully the case here, because boobs and abs help sell stuff. I am not teaching you anything here. But back on the topic, speak, what bothers me the most about these blood hags is not necessarily less skin showing, it is the lack of connection with their original faction. The Daughters of Khaine already have access to incredible visual language. Snake motifs, elegance, ritualistic cruelty, gore and excess, even a subtle scale pattern, more serpentine ornamentations, or more dramatic silhouettes would have helped tie these elite warriors to that more demented Khainite identity, because right now everything feels almost too controlled, too polished, too clean. I mean, they literally have blood in their name. And the same problem occurs on the Shrine of Dark Tribute. The sculpt quality is undeniably excellent, but again it feels almost too restrained for a faction that should flirt constantly with beautiful insanity. It is lacking that Khainite personality, as if Game Workshop still has not fully decided which visual direction the Daughters of Khaine should commit to, because this army is incredibly inspiring when it fully embraces itself. Look at the serpentine characters, look at the older witches, even look at the Doomfire warlocks, who absolutely need an upgrade and whose horses are begging for retirement, but at least they commit to a visual statement. That is why this release frustrates me more than if it were simply ugly, because it is not, it is competent and polished, but it does not feel bold enough for what this faction could be, and honestly I think they deserve better. But maybe you completely disagree, Goblin Gang, and you love this cleaner direction. If so, tell me why, because I genuinely love reading your takes, and honestly, you guys do change my mind sometimes. And if you agree with me, well, I also accept ego boosts. As always, if you enjoyed the video, Goblin Gang, sacrifice your like on the altar. Subscribe for more miniature mischief and put 3 wine glass emojis in your comments so Morati and I know you are part of the secret end of the video club. We shall sip imaginary Bordeaux together with our pinky up like proper Khainite aristocrats. And as always, bonne chance with your hobby, les amis. A quick quick visual, wait. Maybe they simply needed a quick visual shortcut. Ah! Oh, oh, oh.